Give nothing, and I'm going to get it all. What does that sound like to you? What kind of person does that sound like to you? Does that sound like a good person to you? Sounds like a freaking psychopath.
No, but some of these girls, I don't know if you guys remember, there used to be a show called Millionaire Matchmaker, right? But that was like an actual TV show, right? I always wonder, like some of the girls who do the hypergamy stuff, is it possible that they're trying to be like Myron or like Tate or whatever, like someone who does a podcast, right? And then like, cause some of them will write books and like, is it like, are they really interested in getting a rich man, or are they trying to be rich themselves by selling this content? Maybe that's what I think they're trying to do themselves, like be businesswomen. I'm not saying all of them. I'm saying some of the content creators, because I know one of them. She literally said like, "Oh, my marriage was terrible, and I don't want to get married again." She just does this content for her own. Like she makes money and she goes to talk shows and all this stuff. You guys know what I'm talking about? Her name is she's Russian, I think. She's not black. She's not one of the hypergamous black people. She's Russian. What is her name? Let me look it up.
Is it Anna Bay?
Yeah, Anna Bay, exactly.
Wait a minute,
Yeah.
she got divorced already?
Yeah, she got divorced, and yeah. Well, she's a nice girl, and she teaches people.
Yeah. She stole. You know, tell you something. I knew Anna Bay before all of you. She stole my content. I found her.
I knew she did. I knew she stole yours. I knew because I've seen it.
That was me. I love to see it. She's been married for 5 minutes and got divorced. Couldn't have happened to a better woman.
Yeah, because she was selling content to become famous on her own, and she was, and on top of that, she was stealing it. Because I do remember she was stealing it from you, and some other person called her out on it, and I think she was living a lie too. But anyway, she wrote a book and she was doing talk shows and everything because she sells that image, right? That she's like a, what is it, like a Russian, like almost like this man eater. Yeah. Out of all the content I liked during the pandemic, my favorite was Kevin Samuels only because he was fucking hilarious. That was Sotomayor was funny too, but
he was funny. What we're seeing here is a evolution of every movement, as it always happens, where the movement starts with hip hop and it always evolves to some other shit where the offspring of it is some other monster. So at the beginning, guys, MGTOW guys were basically saying the market is shitty, going on, we don't pretty much participate in it. The guys kind of respond to what's happening, why is this, that, and other. And now you got this little monster that's coming out of it with these younger podcasters and saying super stupid shit. So Myron Gaines, the Fresh and Fit guys, of course they'll say some good stuff, but then they'll say some super stupid. And I'm glad other guys in the manosphere will call them out on it, like Andrew was on there. And I guess we can consider Andrew. I don't know if you guys know Andrew. He always smoking the cigarette. He does the Crucible. I think that was his channel. And he'll confront them about stuff. The whole idea of men should be hypergamous and all, and not hypergamous, but promiscuous and all this other shit. And basically, what you're saying is pretty stupid. You're encouraging men to create more of the problem because it's good to have experience with women, but to constantly go out there and put yourself in a space where you can have, have children and catch STDs and pretty much be irresponsible. That's not a good counter to the culture at all. Like guys can get those skills without making those dumbass decisions. So it's just stuff like that they're doing now, and it's not what it once was.
You talking about Andrew Wilson?
Yeah, Andrew Wilson, that's the name.
I used to talk to him and debate him on Discord.
Oh, really? Yeah. I mean, he says everybody has stuff.
But that's not who's really waking up men, especially young men. So what really woke up young men was, and Pink, you're not going to like this, was single mothers. And mostly in two communities, with either white and a black community. Because how many times, if you look at the divorce rate, you look at who's filing for the divorce, and you look at who is getting the overall children as the primary custodian, as well as the financial gains out of the divorces or whatever, child support, whatever you wanted to, it was overwhelmingly women. And women have been allowed since, I would say, the 80s to pretty much take control of that and have that all saying, hey, slap it back, saying, no, I mean, you're not going to get child support and have the kid half the week. No, you're not getting any. You're going to have to pay. You're getting it. So you're starting to see judges like revisit. But what's happening is a changing of the laws. What you have is young men who are waking up saying, I was raised by my mom. My dad was ostracized, and I'm pushing back on this because this is creating a problem. This is creating a narrative, and I don't want. So these young guys that are growing up and entering the manosphere are coming from a negative childhood experience in which their fathers were ostracized, villainized, and oppressed. And they, at their own detriment, and many times suicided, because let's not forget, those men were often killing themselves. Those are the highest rates of suicide in divorced fucking men. And they will, these young men are growing up from that and saying, you know what, I'm walking away. I don't know if the Andrew Tates and Jordan Petersons are going to fix it. I don't like Jordan Peterson for obvious reasons. Some of the things he says is okay, but overall the man can't put it into practice. So I have a difficulty respecting him for that. But he's Canadian too, so I don't really like the Canadians to begin with. And so what I think you have are getting grifters who are grifting off a movement that's organic in its own nature and coming to the realization of, hey, I don't want to live in a society like this and I want to change it myself. And they're grifting off of that movement, trying to spur it, just like BLM, like Dr. Goddess of BLM, a grifter. And that's why I have that smoke that I have for her, because many of you don't know who she was when she first came out of the ad. And people like Payne, who this woman used to vilify, I find it fascinating that now we're all buddy-buddy with them. It's amazing.
I just wanted to set the record straight. I still, like I said, I'm moving on from it, but yes, I do have an issue with her. She did bully me along with a group of other Black women when I tried to call attention to the hour with operating the Black community because I was married to a white man, and they thought that
you and Alma's both faced fucking crucifixion against this woman.
I was trying to brainwash Black women to have all their baby dads be white men in some weird way. I don't know, but yeah, that is what happened. But
she shut down Alma. She did a whole cancel campaign against Pink. She had rooms about how dangerous Pink and what were some of this, like Almaz and Sharita, another of other women. There was a whole campaign. This is Dr. Goddess promoting Black neighborhood and Black solidarity, was to attack other Black women who were saying, I want men with morals. In any of those rooms, it wasn't like diversified just based on skin color. Go from like a fucking Pookie and Ray Ray to a Chad in the fucking extra, like they go with another fuckboy that's just gonna live off you and, you know, put his hands in your pocket while you're paying for shit at the fucking grocery store. No, it was diversify from your thought process. Diversify and look for guys and men with fucking moral cultures. You can blend with different races and still have this outcome and achieve the goals. All you have to do is find it on that line. If you can't find it in a Black community, find it in white. If you can't find white, go to Hispanic. If you can't find it there, go to the Asian. And if you can't find it there, then fucking, I don't know, buy yourself a dog and go on a fucking 2-year hiatus hiking around fucking the moon. I don't fucking know. But that's pretty much what you guys went through. You guys got decimated by her little fucking gangrene following. You know, for pro-abortion fucking every Tuesday.
I didn't even know. I'm glad I missed it. You know, I thought maybe she might have grown since 2010 and 2011 because we go back that far. Indeed, we do. You know, I just wanted to set the record straight about the red pill, and quite honestly, like the C word is like the N word for women. So that's why I was like, right, what's up with the C word? That's the N word for women.
You know, because I know who she was. You forget it was me. Like she came in after Krishana and Dira and all these other Black women. Like I have my own issues with Krishana and Dira. Those are personal, but I don't need to bring them to the clubhouse. Krishana, who is a very religious person, albeit I have my own personal issues with her. I don't think the rest of you can make your own decision. She is a very religious Black woman who has an opinion about how culture should be raised. I was very close to Krishana. Dr. Goddess attacked her, literally jumped on her throat, tried to smear her. And Dira, the same one, did the whole side neck knocking. Dr. Goddess went after Gerard, a Black man who married a Black woman who lives in Atlanta, who was bitching at that time, because I didn't know about it, was Freaknik. And he was complaining about Freaknik and the unsuitability and the way that it was displayed and carried on post the pandemic and how it's carried on today, and how he's disgusted with the fact that this is the elevation of where Black people live. It's not an arts and music festival. It's not a culmination of Black accomplishments. It's a how can the fat obese girl work on a fucking hood of a white Nissan Altima from 1990 and somehow think it's a fucking good characteristic or representation of Black achievement and culture throughout Georgia and Atlanta history. And none of that is expounded on it. And God has had an issue with that. She wanted to promote the whole degeneracy, and Gerard went back and pushed on her and basically made her leave. Bro was another guy who said Black people do not need to be associated with oppression and all of these things. Like, we are our own worst oppressors. That was Bro's big fucking point, was that Black people are their own worst oppressors. It's not the white man. It's not fucking Hispanics. It's not Pepe. It's not me. Sure as hell they be. I ain't got that kind of fucking power. It is Black people in your own thoughts and minds of your creation, of allowing there to be something that not achieved beyond a certain limit in that white man in there. I can promise you, I'm not limiting you. I can give a shit less. I want you to be president. Go be dictator of the fucking moon. I don't care. But like, as long as you're able to manifest your own destiny, I don't give a shit. I don't like that. That doesn't matter to me. Just keep the same ideas and principles that you're arguing for. Don't fucking shit on it, and don't cry to me and say, "Oh, well, 3,000 years ago, X, Y, Z happened. So 400 years ago, ABC occurred. Now DEF, you owe me fucking cash." Like, no, that shit's not gonna happen. I'm not going to buy that.
You know the biggest slap in the face? This is the biggest slap in the face, and it gets me more and more angry, and I've been thinking about doing a video about this, is that the Black people alive today, these millennials mostly, are actually more angry than the people who actually went through the stuff that they are complaining about that they have never experienced. Ask me how I know that they would be so ashamed. They would be so ashamed that we would use our inheritance in this way. Ask me how I know. Because my dad was born in 1922. He fought in World War II down in North Africa. My grandfather fought in World War I. They both enlisted. They love this country. My country has been here since 1792. Love this country, but faced so much oppression. My grandfather was a sharecropper, but they always maintained that their dignity, their integrity, they wanted a better life for their children. They fought for their right to exist amongst other people. They were grateful that they were able to pass that along to us, and all we do is still complain. That is, to me, is the biggest betrayal of them all.
What can
We
you?
did not that legacy and that gift. All we have done is complain, and none of us have gone through what actually happened to get us so mad.
Hey, tell me what a Black person cannot do today that a white person, like, where is the difference? What certain laws are preventing Black people from achieving that? What is there that's this big inhibited wall?
There's no laws. Listen, there's no laws.
Like, there was no massive response to BLM from the white community or the Asian community or the Hispanic community. It wasn't like a whole swath of them said, "Hey, I get you're burning down cities, you're terrorizing people, you're taking over territory in the U.S."
We weren't burning down cities. That's why.
Yes, you were.
No, we weren't.
That's a real fucking big ass lie. So,
Yeah, we weren't.
the whole
No, we
point
weren't.
of, like, fucking, this whole thing, there wasn't a crucial response to BLM. It wasn't like white people coming out and fucking wrecking entire neighborhoods. White people weren't going down and burning down the suburbs and protest to BLM because BLM was burning down, guess what, Black neighborhoods.
They were marching with us. Thank you.
Goddess when they're
They were marching with us. Thank you.
anti-fucking Black people because they burnt down their own fucking community.
That's not true. This is just complete
You profited off of that. You tried to get it. You did.
This
We
is
have the
complete
facts.
racist bullshit
Billions
from
of dollars
racist
worth of
brand.
damage. How many people died? How many women raped? How many? Because it was all in the spirit of suckers of fucking love.
That's
Like, you
what
are
that's about.
retarded. You are a fat
You can't help but to keep lying.
You know what?
Cannot help but to keep lying.
Again, you
That's all you can do is lie and lie and lie.
You're like the idiot no idea what
They're
you're talking
tired
about.
of it.
You're a
No,
grifter.
you don't
You're
know what
nothing
you're talking
more than a
about.
grifter.
And that
You're a
is the
fucking
issue.
solid of a hammer.
You can say
on the
whatever
ass
you
of
want to
the
say, racist
society.
friend.
You thick hair, you're a
That's
cunt,
why you
and
feel
you
less
have
than a man.
nothing more to offer
Do you
society.
have a
That's why your ass is not
Is it
married.
true that
That's
you
why
have
guys
erectile
don't want to be with you.
dysfunction?
Why you
Is
advocate
it
for
true
women to
that
have
you have
abortion.
erectile
Why you
dysfunction?
advocate for the destruction of the nuclear family. Why you try to impose on black men. Why you try to impose on black men.
Let him finish. You gotta let him finish. Please let him finish. Let him finish,
Like,
guys.
holy shit, this fucking cuntosaurus.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit.
Yeah, you're just a fucking.
You're a racist piece of shit.
I
Guys, let him
that
finish,
actually
please.
has more fucking melanin on them than you do. Alright?
You wish. You wish.
Yeah, I do.
That's why you
I'm
talk to
just
the
talking
black
shit.
men on the stage like you do.
What are the black
Because
men?
you
Why
want
are
to
you
be
calling for
fucking
black
black.
men?
You
Why
jealous
are
of
you
me?
calling for black men? They didn't do shit. They don't owe you shit. They ain't married.
I'm only talking to black men. Don't tell me what they owe me or what I owe them. Shut the fuck up. You don't know anything about it. You don't know anything about it. You can't relate. You cannot relate.
You ain't going after them. You went after Paige.
So
when
you
she was like trying to do her thing. You went after a whole sorts of women trying to do your cancellation on there. You fucking piece of fucking fake ass.
I'm gonna bring it back up because of you guys have each other a lot of time out real quick. And when you two get each other, I'm gonna have to put one down another if y'all come off because I just want y'all to get through y'all piece. So
Can I just
wait, everybody finish it. Yeah, absolutely. And I'll bring it back.
You don't have to. I mean, again, it's like no one wants to keep having gonorrhea infected. Like you're supposed to get that once and you cut it off and done. So like this whole idea that like people like God were to continue a racial trope. Again, there was no repercussions to BLM. In fact, there was no severe anything, and we're still trying to deal with the fallout because we're now having problems in communities, not because of guess what. Police, we're having problems because of the fucking criminals. And who didn't see that shit coming? And now everybody's bitching about it. So now people like Pink are saying, we told you this. We told you this was the wrong pathway. And she's getting attacked. You had Fink who sat there and said, hey, we got to clean our shit up. We can't be sitting here having this. No, you had the Dr. Goddesses win up. And what you have today is a direct result from these BLM bitches losing their fucking minds. That's what it is. These fucking cunts that fucking went up there and advocated for a change in society. And guess what? You shouldn't have listened to it because these women weren't married. They won't be married. Men don't want them, and they're not procreating. They have no idea how to talk about your children. They fucking lie about history, and then they go through and extrapolate a whole bunch of shit just to say, hey, we're oppressed. I'll land there.
I wanted to ask you.
So, as usual, racist man has to lie about Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, we can hear you, sweet pea. God says you don't mind letting her get up. So she, matter of fact, yeah, okay. Go ahead,
Yeah.
she was it.
Brad said something that I thought was interesting about what barriers. I'll say it like this. I'll paraphrase it and say, what barriers to wealth do people have now? And you were, I think, alluding to the fact that there are no barriers to obtaining wealth like they were, say, prior to 1950 or whatever.
What laws are on the books that say that a white man can do something that a black man can't do? Or a black person. It's very specific.
Okay, laws. Yeah, I would have to agree with that. However, when it comes to equity, I think there is some issues that prevent the accumulation of wealth.
Equity you're referring to?
Equity would be, for example, same house being sold for different amounts of money.
I would agree that it's an equity division because of bad decisions that black folks make.
What did he say? Can you repeat that?
The equity is because of the decisions black people make. You buy in shitty ass neighborhoods. You don't take care of your fucking properties. So of course there's going to be a difference.
like for like in every way, and getting a significantly lower price. That data is documented. So it's not my data.
How are you staging your house for sale? How are you staging your house for sale?
Are you talking property value solely age? You're speculating
I'm
on that.
talking about, so I'm talking about same identical house, okay? Same quality of care, 2 streets, 3 streets over.
Okay, how are you staging your house for sale?
How am I staging my house for sale?
Before
So I want to get away from me and just say that one of the things that, okay, so one of the things is that in some cases, it has been noted that the black family will have to take down all the pictures. And to get close to the same price, they have to take the ethnicity out of the home.
all photos out. Doesn't matter.
If you read the data for yourself across the board, you'll see that there is an equity issue. Now, if you dig deeper, some of those things that you guys are bringing up probably are.
Miss,
Are you laying around me around things?
I just want to, are you drifting to cumulative data, or are you going back to the 2 households that you're using as an example? Because you use 2 properties as your primary example, and then saying cumulatively, this is representative of the issue at large. And I would have to look at what data sets you're referring to, and particularly those 2 new properties, why there's a difference, where they're located, what would be the rationale for it. Also the history of the house. Like, if you had a murder in your house, it's going to sell less. But unless you had a ghost sighting, that actually increases the value. Amityville Horror, anybody. That actually can increase your property value in some locations. So it just depends on why a house is listed the way it is. So you have to look at both of those.
I understand that. I'm just saying, all things being equal, it is an issue. If you want to add all these anecdotal reasons, I'm not saying those don't happen. Like things like anecdotally, there are things that happen, but you have to knock them in statistics. Those isolated instances, you would have to consider noise in the data and just try to deal with the raw data. And the raw data still suggests that the values are significantly lower than the exact same property, say across town, or exact same builder, the person, and this whole idea that black folks don't keep their properties up and all of that is a little, I think, biased, and I don't know where that comes from, but because I didn't see it in my neighborhood, but I'll try to find some data for you and put it in the chat. And I only said that to point out.
Sweet the other people have put it in the chat. Keep going. The evidence is right there.
Thank you. So the only point is there are equity issues when it comes to obtaining wealth, and it doesn't have, and it's maybe not law driven, it might just be bias driven or racism driven. And I'm suggesting it's racism.
Why don't they negotiate better or not sell to the person who's trying to lowball them?
White people that's just not.
Well, look, it's a known fact that if a white person moves into a house that was previously owned by a black person, they stop listening to Christian music and start listening to music with syncopation, and they show up late to their appointments after that. So that's a valid reason why white people can't, buy houses that were formerly owned by black people. And you can take that to the bank.
It's funny how people.
I'm sorry, this just needed to be lightened up a little bit. point out that, there are many factors that go into. There may be some validity to those studies. On the other hand, I think that there was like the study where they changed the names, I believe, or no, I'm getting that mixed up with the resume one. There were so many factors that go into buying a house, and that even when they say, well, it was a similar house just around the corner, no, there's no such thing. The house around the corner may have been very much, a much better property than the one that they used as the test one. So I won't discount that, but I won't say it's hard evidence either, especially when, we all, or many people, know Gildas on this app. He was talking a lot, and I had conversations with him directly. He may be willing to reveal it, and he talks about his experience buying a house and what he went through and his attitude in doing that. And attitude when buying a house is extremely important, both buying and selling. So I'll make that submission. I'm not disagreeing with anyone, and I'm not agreeing with anyone either about it. But I will say the process is way too complicated where one can just say overtly, in this day and age, it's racism.
And yet it happens.
If you could just read the study, Alan, this is not this. This is very basic.
I have. And that, it's, I will go back to that if racism can be proven, there are laws to prosecute people who engage in that.
Well, you can't
This
tell
is-
someone to buy a house. No.
I'm kind of late with this. What years you talking about? You talking about right now, this present time, right?
Yeah. And I don't know, when did
See, this is the issue I have with that argument, and it's going to be anecdotal probably, because I have the second best property in town, and my equity is more than the first property down.
What? So, when I talk about
So
equity,
when I bought my house, it was the second best property. Now I have more equity than the first.
okay,
They
that's
bought
great.
my house and during the pandemic, realtors was coming to me and saying, "Hey, you want to sell because your property is worth more than the original first."
Do you mind telling us where you live? Generally.
No, I'm not telling you that shit.
No, that's fine. I mean, no state or anything. I'm just curious about the market.
Remember this one from the beginning.
Then shut up, Brad. Shut up, racist Brad.
Oh, please, how many years you should have? I can tell you what, 'cause I live in Canada. How about that?
KP, don't figure this out.
you know what? All of this,
I didn't ask for all of that.
Really
I have to stop where Brad is, actually. Thank
yeah,
you.
all of this
No,
is.
brag
You
though.
got,
No, he's not.
yeah,
Now, you was going to play. You was going to say the question I asked you about racism to you about racism. You was going to say dated all the way back to slavery, weren't you? Right after slavery ended, correct? I'm pretty sure you was going to say that.
no, I wasn't going to say that. I was going to go back to the 60s.
Real quick, guns, when you finish, I'll hop in there.
I'm sorry, what did you say, Free?
Now,
I'm trying to make sure you guys was finished on the sheet.
no, I wasn't finished. The reason why I asked Kay where he lived, I mean, it may not be relevant, but it's like, Kay, your individual experience does not belie the data that this is a common experience of Black homeowners. You're not trying to do that, are you?
No, I'm just saying that as a Black homeowner, my property value is more than all the white folks around me, if you want to pull that card.
No, it's not even a card. It just sounds like you're an outlier, and that's okay.
She said,
Yeah, we applaud you. You know what I mean?
That's why I say it's a no experience. That's why I said that.
And then earlier you also said like, stop buying in a bad neighborhood, etc. I mean, but you do realize that people buy where they can afford it. I mean,
and I get that. So you take care of your property, you build it up, and your wealth goes up. Stop selling your house when grandmama died. You take that house. Give me a second, guys. Go ahead, Alan, get in there.
Yeah, what's the saying when white people get the cold, Black people get the flu? When it comes to home ownership and real estate and property, most people are uninformed, and that's the nice word I'm going to use, uninformed about what it takes to get into real estate, maintain it, and negotiate it. And perhaps Black people are being taken advantage of in a ruthless business that I can even concede that. But the fact is, if you can buy a property, buy it. Because once you have shown you have the means by which you can buy a property, even if it is in the shittiest part of town, you have won. You have won. And yeah, again, I'll say it. Yeah, to the outsider, in all of those studies, it may seem what was done was unfair, but you are talking about a business that is brutally ruthless, not just to you as Black people, but to white people and to anybody else. There are huge regulations surrounding real estate and home buying because the potential to screw people over when you're talking about large sums of money is so great. So don't think you're special just because one study came out and said, oh my gosh, they were treated unfairly when it comes to getting an appraiser. You want the solution to that? Before you go, first of all, go to multiple banks. That's number one. Number two, before you try and get a loan at a bank, you call them up and say, oh, by the way, what's the appraisal company you use? Then you call them up and you independently, it doesn't cost a lot of money, $600, $700. You say, hey, I'd like to get an appraisal on my property, and this is just for me, I'm just curious. And you say, please, and since you're paying for this, they'll do it, please give me the highest appraisal you can. Then you spend a month, and I mean literally a month, cleaning that place up to the point where everything looks at it like it's new, both inside and out. The appraiser comes, he gives you a high property. Then when you go to that bank for the bank loan, and they say, oh, well, we think this, and let's say you get I'm in California, so these are real numbers. Let's say you get a $500,000 appraisal, and then you go to the bank, and the bank says, well, we think it's only worth $400,000. You say, well, gee whiz, I got an appraisal by the same company you regularly use, and they think it's worth $500,000. What gives?
Yeah,
welcome to the real
negotiate.
Oh, okay. So this isn't
And
about
then I can roll that price into the seller.
So,
I can roll that into the
this
seller.
this isn't about what Black homeowners experience across the country. This is about Kay's anecdotal experience, Pink Pill's anecdotal experience, and Alan advice around how to deal with the banks.
But your
In spite of the and here's the thing. Here's the thing. One second. One second. The irony is, I believe it was Barack Obama that got a law passed, or whatever. He worked on something with the fair housing, and that's the only reason why we can even come up with the data around these appraisals. That's the funny part about it. I mean, that's stopped. It's like acknowledging a barrier that is in front of you doesn't mean that you're not going to back up and run as fast as you can to jump over that barrier. And I kind of feel like maybe some of y'all, if we talk about racism or talk about the way that history has affected the Black community in a number of different ways, it seems like some of y'all think that it's an admission of submission, or that it means, well, we're just going to fail. But here's the other thing. We're not superhuman. So, like, as human beings, things do happen. And just like they happen to white people, too. And now, thankfully, the Hispanics are seeing it. What'd you say?
Can you give me a definition of racism so we can start?
Sure, it's very simple. Racism is the system of white supremacy in America that affects all areas of people activity, be it law, labor, entertainment, education, anywhere people activity is, that's what it is. It began, as you all know, in America, it was refined. It began around the racial idea, the racialization of the people, and
that's all it is.
Would you no, that's not all it is. If that's what you're saying,
that was the original definition.
No, what are you saying?
One race is superior. One race is superior to another race.
No, that's not. That is not all it was.
No, it changed it so much now. It's getting muddy up.
The problem, okay, if it was just one race, the idea of one race being superior over another, we could have surpassed that a long time ago. That is not what racism is. It is systemic. It is a systemic issue.
There's not. Well, here's the response. I got you. I hear you. We heard you. I'm about to tell you what I'm talking about. So, firstly, that's cool. Sweet Pea, I think you brought this up too, so you can chime in also. So, on the study right here with the housing discrimination appraisal thing, do you know if they use the same company or a different company?
Oh, I don't even remember. I just know it's
accurate. I'm trying to Sweet Pea you. That's fine. That's how you know that.
I know it's accurate because
the one
in place was to stop. Did you realize that we didn't have all the data? Or Black people kept saying.
No, I'm talking about the first I'll refer to. Got it. Racism was tied together at one point. Right. The reason I bring this up is a recent incident. They like to use to say it's still happening, and it's not. So the appraisal, I get it. I just said you know the rules, so you don't have to say I got you. The appraisal process that you guys are referring to, Washington Post, I read the story a lot of times after doing COVID, is a bullshit story. They don't specify the company or companies that was involved. They don't specify the appraisers that was involved. The reason being, when you get something appraised, you use different appraisals, you're going to get different results. That's a fact. That's whether it's a car, a truck, whatever property you have. It's also, if you took something to one pawn shop and to another pawn shop, they may value it differently. Okay? And maybe vastly depending on how much they value what you have. So this is just not a good study. I'm not saying racism doesn't exist or this position is not a racist thing. You can't conclude it based off the evidence provided. They just see it different in the numbers and conclude it's racist. And that's why we have these issues, because you guys standard for racism is so fucking low that anything you don't like just become racism. Like, do you know what's intended?
Thanks for your attention.
I'm actually a statistician. I know these numbers are real. I don't have the methodology on which they were gathered, so you do have have a point there. Don't have. It is important. But the point is that this is not something that's not unknown, and you guys are fighting against it like I just made it up.
Well, here's the issue, sweetie. Well, this is why. We got an issue, you want to verify the actual issue. Otherwise, we'll be fighting ghosts, right? And not only that, worse than that, we'll actually create a new issue to where we're actually demonizing people or system or this country, essentially, because the issue doesn't really exist. So we need to substantiate the issue because we want to make laws and change policies and get people out of position. Because, for example, if this company did this, that's a bad company, have a bad practice. They could be civilly liable, criminally liable, etc. But when you have it so vague to the point you can't even call out the bad perpetrators, then the question becomes, what is your agenda? Are we trying to fix a problem or are you just trying to curate a narrative? And it seems more narrative based than actually trying to fix a problem. So that's why it's essential to get to narrow these things down.
Yeah, so, we were just in conversation. I wasn't, prepared to come in and have a debate about this in particular. It was brought up because someone had mentioned that there's nothing going on, and maybe he said laws. And so I can't debate the law part, but the practices part is where I take issue. And the same thing occurs with getting loans.
But the same type of thing occurs. When they mention a company, think about it. We can start there. If someone did something racist as a racist, say, hey, this person did it, whether they work for a company or an individual, because we have all these pictures of posts online about neighbors and regular people doing the same shit racist, we doxed it. But right now in this post, during the time of doxing is prominent, we won't even say the company that did this racial appraisal, which points to me that is bullshit, and we took a narrative around with it. They can't even put that company out there and say they actually did something wrong.
They actually sued some of the
So I was just trying to get it. There's a number of laws that had they put the company out there, that company would have been investigated and all that. That's why, again, I would say, correct. There's no company outside there. And it's the same thing with this overwhelming, oh, hey, we change these narratives just to prove a point. It's always a narrative. It's always a vague pole. And stats can be manipulated in a whole bunch of ways. I'm not saying there wasn't oppression, I'm not saying there wasn't discrimination, bias, prejudice, sexism, misogyny, whatever ism you want to fucking throw out there, you got it. You had it. Fuck, we had a policy for 75 fucking years straight, an anti-Chinese exclusion policy, in which we basically, anyone who had features that resembled Chinese, we threw them out of the country. We literally had that as a nation. So I'm with you. We had slavery. We had a whole bunch of shit. But what is weird is that you have people who I call the Benjamin Crumps of platforms. They want to grift off of and create a perpetuating narrative because without that narrative, they're held accountable to actually saying, hey, I have to achieve this. I have to be answering for education of my kids. I have to be answering for why I don't pay taxes at an alarming rate. Why is it that, I don't have businesses? And if you are upset over businesses and talking racism and prejudice, then we can stop supporting black businesses. We can do that because last time I checked, I don't see a lot of white women being employed at black hair salons. I'm just checking that one out. I'm pretty sure that's probably not a thing. I'm sure there's maybe one or two anecdotes. I mentioned there's a lot of them that aren't there.
Yeah, and I would agree with that, and it's largely because white women don't tend to know how to do black hair. But here's what I want to say, and where there are mixed beauty salons, because I've been to them, as a matter of fact, my hairdresser is white. However, I don't want to get into all of this. I only question this whole idea that there was nothing out there that could impose on the ability to
Just give me the law.
just give me a second. All I can do is I can tell you that as recent as 2024, 2025, let me see. There was what was it? I missed something.
the city.
National City Bank in 2023 in the DOG reached a $31 million settlement with City National Bank for redlining predominantly Black and Latino neighborhoods in Los Angeles from 2017 to 2020. The bank will fund loan subsidies and outreach programs to affect the communities, and this remains an issue today. In 2024, the DOJ and the state of North Carolina secured a $13.5 million agreement with the bank for avoiding lending services to Black and Hispanic neighborhoods in Charlotte and in Salem.
For a second. So it sounds like the law protecting Black people got compensatory damages awarded and sent out for that. So I'm confused as to which law is preventing Black people from being on the same footing.
Oh, it's not a great law, racist, Brad. You're an idiot. Like, what is wrong with you?
Okay, I just looked it up.
I mean, it's just ridiculous.
I'm asking what is wrong with your retarded ass.
You're just a fucking idiot. Like,
I get it. You
oh my God.
or whatever it is.
Anyway, go ahead.
Thank you for that information. I just looked it up. There are 4,462 FDIC insured banks in the United States right now. So let's see, you did 3 studies divided by 4,462. That means 0.067234424025% of the banks in the United States engaged in discriminatory policies which were cut by the government. I think if we're looking at less than 1% of banks that engage in discriminatory policies towards potential clients or homeowners, I think we can discount racism in banks as an issue having to do with Black people today. Unless you're looking for an absolute perfect score, which I don't think. You can argue that that's what you want, but I don't think that's reasonable. So let's move past this banks are racist narrative, since we keep hearing that from even with the examples you give, the percentage is low, so low that I would advise anyone, if they are Black, to go into a bank, do your due diligence, but don't worry about racism because it's not a factor in this day and age. Thank you.
No, you would be setting them up for failure, Alan. Okay.
No,
So first of all,
just so
you're clear, in our community, we still keep going. Like that's the thing that y'all are missing. We know that there's racism. We still keep going. So we will still do our due diligence. But for you to tell us to take on a racially blind attitude and not be on the lookout, like you can still go in and have done your due diligence and still be on the lookout and make sure that everything is on the up and up. Just because you criticize one study, that doesn't mean much at all. You're acting as though you don't know how this information is created. You're acting as if you don't know that Black people are routinely targeted. Y'all are mind blowing. The denials are amazing.
Doctor, I know that you believe that. I
don't just believe it. These are actual facts.
I know that you know it. I know lots of facts.
No, I'm not lying.
Okay, I know that.
You haven't presented one fact yet.
Can I just say something?
Thank you.
Yeah, you know what?
Yes. Alan and God is finishing up. He'll be up in that next, I think he was trying to get into.
Yeah, I do know that that it is a stated fact from critical race theory that one should assume that there is racism in everything every day. I do know that that's what you seem to be echoing. I do also know that if you are your average bank manager and a client comes in with a hostile attitude, you're not going to get a loan. Congratulations.
Where's your requirement that you have to be nice?
Where's the requirement? It's called common sense.
No, but under the law,
Yeah.
listen,
No,
there's
under the
plenty of
law,
areas people that get loans. Stop the cap. Stop the cap. There are plenty of average people that get loans, and there are plenty of nice people that do not get loans. How about that?
That's true, but you're not going to get a loan if you're walking in assuming that everybody hates you. And that's not only some advice for getting a loan, it's also advice for life and everything else you do. But
Yeah, this is beside the point, Alan.
I'm just
Alan,
Let me get the proper response to try to be concise.
All right, let me give you the real information, Alan, because you're just trying to
you
sugarcoat
can give me information. Don't qualify it by saying real.
Well, it is real because you
It's
don't
a
know what you're talking about.
perspective. It's
You
not
don't know what you're talking about. You're trying to make it seem as though Black people, if they just have a smile and a good attitude, they can surpass racism. Now, on an individual level, I can see that, right? Like it certainly happens. Like if you're polite, absolutely, you may get better service, or you may not. So the irony is, there are people out there. One of my relatives was one of them who partner up with white folks, and they go out. They have the same resume, and they go out and do interviews. They test people. They do this for a living because they know that racism is out there. Now, according to the law, there's no discrimination in employment. That's at the bottom of every application, right? But when they went out there and they presented both their resumes, the Black person continuously got discriminated against. That's why a white man who graduates from high school will get a job faster than a Black man who graduates from college, regardless of the smiles, the attitudes, or any other way they want to shake it. So I'm just not going to let you try to sugarcoat and deny racism. Can we adjust the attitudes and so on and so forth? Sure.
He doesn't need your permission when I order.
Shut the
Guys, moving on to Big Bill.
Fuck off.
Nobody said no.
Guys, holy shit.
I will not shut up. That's the
Okay, right. Well, please, okay, doctor.
You didn't like to think about it.
Jesus.
Dr. Gomez, will you please just allow for me to speak? I know you don't like Brad. I don't like Brad. You guys have your history, but I gotta say something because it needs to be said, right? So, Dr. Gomez, you are not wrong in saying that racism still exists. Anybody who has an X account can see that. But I think that the issue where I'm frustrated as a Black person is that we have Black elites, and I do put you in that category of Black elites, who by every chance they get want to remind the community that racism exists. It would beat it on the head heavy with it. And as a result of that constant narrative, I don't think you guys realize the shadow side of that part. I don't think you guys realize the damage potentially that you're doing to people and that you take away their internal locus of control. When you tell somebody that no matter what they do, that racism is going to be the key defining factor from the time they wake up to the time they go to sleep, you terrify a child. Now, I just want to say, you terrify a child. It's not just you. I'm just talking about the whole elite. The thing that I find ironic is that the people who are responsible for carrying on these narratives are again in our Black elites. But what makes them elite is that they made it. So they have some sort of internal locus of control that, despite knowing that there are challenges that are outside of them, that there is something in them that can affect the change. What I would like to see more from Black elites is less emphasis on what Black people can't do and trying to emotionally manipulate people, make people annoyed by us, ignore the things that we need to take responsibility for by making excuses for Black people that we know we should not make excuses for and blame it on something else. I think that I would like to see more of Black elites talking about how they made it, because clearly they have. And I'm talking about superstars. I'm talking about politicians. I'm talking about, they all want to remind us how bad it is. Tell us how you made it then. Because I'm looking at you. You're telling me I can't make it, but I'm looking at you and you made it. So what did you do? And instead of, and I'm not saying no celebrity has ever written a book or done anything like that to sort of give the gain to Black people, but clearly it's not enough. Most of the narrative is that we can't make it. And I really think that that is damaging. So I'm not trying to, I'm talking in general, Dr. Goddess. I'm saying that you are part of a group of people who does this, okay? And I know you pretty well. I mean, well, I don't know, but I know your politics. I know your politics pretty well. So
Wait, I'm not speaking. No, that's speaking.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So I will say for the both of you. I will say, both Dr. Goddess and speaking. Okay, but I'm listening to you speak, and you did also say that you were a statistician, and that is not somebody that did not get an education. So you are part of the Black elite, okay? So what I am saying is that the shadow side of that is that you discourage people. You make people afraid. You make people suspicious. You make people hate other people for no reason. You make people not be able to. I'm just saying.
This narrative. The only reason why I said it is because of the question that was put to the floor about wealth attainment and if there were any disparities. That's it.
I did hear everything.
You did hear that? Okay.
Yeah, I did.
I heard some response. I can come over here like that. The narrative that I just responded to a question to call out whatever there is that is currently going on here in America from an economic viewpoint that is not equitable because of racism. And I mentioned equity in houses. That's it.
Yes, and then we found out that it's like less than 0%. And it also has to do with, it's like, how much are we terrifying our children about the police when only a small percentage of Black men actually have this experience, like a small one. But we want to make it seem like, and I'm just saying, I'm speaking as a Black woman, obviously not in the clique. I'm just saying to you that, and to people who carry these narratives, they just understand that there's a shadow side to what it is that you're doing. That you think that what you're doing is trying to protect the community and advocate for the community, but understand the psychological effect that has of telling somebody that they can't do something, or that everywhere they look is racist, or you can't trust these people. It does have an effect, and it is alienating. In a time when we live in a global society and we have to learn how to get along with each other. This is not the 1950s where we can just be over there and we all have to exist next to each other, okay? So that's the only thing that I'm saying.
And I agree with you. I do agree with you. I'm not advocating for some woe is me narrative. I'm just speaking about the facts and the reason for the inequity inequities economically and named one example in this room at this moment. I don't go out here doing no woe is me type of trope. And I would agree with you that that is very dangerous. So I don't want you putting that on me because it's not who I am. It's not what I do. It was just an example for this room and this conversation. Okay?
Okay, that's fine. If I'm totally honest, I will say it's directed more towards Dr. Goddess.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna just be honest.
Yeah, it wasn't to you, sweet pea. But respectfully, Pink Pill, you don't know what I teach. Respectfully, right? Like, you're not out here. You don't know what I say to you.
I didn't say what you taught. I said I know what your politics are.
Yeah, no, but
I know what you know.
But I don't think that you know everything about my politics. Shut the fuck up, racist bread. Free. Now it's my turn. It's my turn.
Yeah, please, Brad, yeah, I got you. If you, I told you I'll move if you keep cutting off.
All right. So no, I don't think that you really know about my politics. And for the record, I believe because we are the global majority. So when I'm actually telling people, I say the world is our oyster. I want us to get beyond the system of white supremacy. But at the same time, it does exist. I'm not going to have my people out here being blind. So I put an article in the chat on racial socialization. And it's actually the people that are not prepared for the world, they are the ones that get blindsided. They're the ones that end up failing because they're not prepared. The people who have racial socialization are the ones that actually succeed. So when you ask me, how did you do it? A part of it was racial socialization. So let's take when it comes to education. My mother, who understood about racism, as well as my father, they said, get your education because you have to be twice as good in this society. Therefore, I value education. Did they deny racism? No. Did they say, so therefore you can be lazy and chill because racism exists, you ain't got to do nothing? No. They said be twice as good. So they armed me with high expectations, and I went out to the world with high expectations for myself and others. That's what racial socialization is. Being honest with our children and giving them a charge is not holding them back. What's actually holding them back is not preparing them.
Yeah, I mean, my parents prepared me too, but they also taught me to not harbor hate and anger. Like, these were people who actually experienced the things that you talk about are still so prevalent, which is not true. So the people who actually experienced all of these horrific things were my parents. My father was a sharecropper's son, and my mother picked cotton in the summers when she was out of school. So my family is very familiar with this, and I can tell you, yes, it's an anecdotal thing, but they did not harbor anger or hatred. They wanted us to win, and they wanted to use the inheritance that they sacrificed for, not to complain, but to do better. And I will say that, yes, that is what my parents said to me too, exactly what you said. But here's the deal. We cannot deny that there are people in our community who will make these excuses and say that I don't have to bother. If that was not the case, then we wouldn't have so many of us who are not finishing high school or not finishing college. And I'm talking specifically about the men. So if this was the message that was given to the girls, I don't know how that lost in translation for the boys. The boys are not okay. So,
my brother got the same message and he's fine.
Well, my brother got the same message. I mean, my brother got the same message as well. But that does not mean, I'll go back to what you say, that's anecdotal. But exactly. The boys are. Does he have a chip on his shoulder? Okay. Absolutely. Because my parents, but hold on a second. That's because my parents didn't raise me to hate white people.
Nobody is. First of all, if somebody does hate white people based upon their experience, then it just depends on their experience. But for the most part, the Black community actually doesn't hate white people. In fact, if the Black community treated white people the way white people treated Black people, this would be a whole different society.
Can I push
so
back?
we're very
Please push back.
No, we're
crime statistics, and I would say just based on statistics, there's a reason why I would say people should feel wary around particularly black men, young black men. Now, with that being said, I've only been robbed twice.
Should we be wary around white men?
Well, all women should be wary around, especially a group of.
No, I'm not talking about me as a woman, although that matters. I'm saying should black men be wary around white men?
Not more than I would say less so than they should be wary around other black men.
And that's based on the FBI stats?
Yes,
So fucking
the number one killer of young black men is other black men. That's a fucking fact.
If the number one killer of white men is other white men, it's about proximity.
No, it's not. We die of other cause. No, when I say that, let me rephrase that. Hold on. Yes, of course it does. The leading cause of death for young black men and teenage boys is other black men. The leading cause of death for young white men and white teenage boys is not homicide. That is the big difference. So I would say, yes, black men. This is just statistically true. I mean, you can try to spin a narrative all you want, but even I've been robbed twice. Both times it was a black man, and I was a kid when it happened to me. Now, I don't hate black people because of it. Did that even? And to be fair, the second time it happened, there was a black girl I went to school with, and I guess she kind of knew the dudes. They were in their like mid-20s, and she's like, "Man, that's fucked up. Give me your shit back." And she actually got my shit back. She was actually putting up the fight, and so. I mean, obviously, I don't paint all black people with the same brush, but
I wouldn't, because if we painted white people with the same brush, we have stats too, Pepe. There are stats.
What stats do you have?
We want to run down. White men kill their entire families more than anybody else. White men are the number one threat to American democracy, according to the FBI. According to the FBI.
Which year?
Every fucking year.
No, it's not every year.
It is every year.
I don't think. Okay, Dr. Goddess.
Excuse me 1 second. Black men are also.
Where's that stat?
No, that's not how it's worded. That's not how it's worded. No. Hold on, Dr. Goddess, as you know, I would do that.
I will put the studies in.
Sure. Okay. Let me finish. Yes, let me finish. Doctor. Okay, let me finish. Jesus Christ. Okay, so obviously I had very strong feelings and have done these debates for a long time. Now, I understand what you're trying to say is that they were considered the biggest domestic terrorist threat in the United States. Yes, that happened for a few years. Now, do you know who was listed previously to that? I think up until maybe 2018, 2019, it was black identity extremists that were considered the number one domestic terrorist threat. So it's gone back and forth.
That was a fabrication. What's his name?
FBI lied.
No, it wasn't.
I've never seen somebody hot-footed this much and try to go.
Shut the fuck up, Brad. Nobody is talking to you, Brad. Nobody is talking to you. I am not talking to you. I'm trying to respond to Pepe because we are having a conversation. You cannot say,
hold on a second. So hold on a second. Okay. If we want to get
down.
But no, I'm the one talking. Jesus Christ.
But when I respond to you, you keep talking. I can't get a word in edgewise.
Nobody else can get a fucking word in edgewise.
Because you need to shut the fuck up.
Okay, Brad, but hold on, because I want to ask you some other things. Because I've been listening to this, and okay, first of all, we can just look at the very unpleasant realities. If you were to ask, I would say the average fucking teenager, whether it was the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, Okay, they know which groups of people are generally going to be the people they have to watch out for. Now that you can break that down by sex, you can break it down by age, and you can unfortunately break it down by race. It's something that it's a pattern recognition that everybody fucking has. Now, for you to, it's really bizarre when the statistics back this up. It's like, I don't really hear. I don't hear people, especially doctors or anybody like, that work in academia, deny the fact that young black men do have a violence problem. They more or less argue why they have the problem.
Yes, they absolutely have a violence problem. When earlier in the room, it was actually a white man. Thank God, he was literally the only person that was pointing everybody to poverty. Yes, it's not just any black man. It's not like wealthy black men are going around shooting people. It's not even middle class men. You're talking about people who are struggling with poverty, who have been disproportionately falsely arrested, because that's also in the FBI stats. Black men are arrested more, but they are arrested, and many of them have false accusations against them. So don't forget that fucking stat. So yeah, they feel very constant. They're let out of the economy. One second, I'm not talking to
Hold on, let her finish.
conversation with Pepe. So yes, young black men who are left out of the economy, who definitely feel hostile, who are targeted in school to prison, for-profit pipeline, hell yeah, they feel hostile. Yes. So that's a fact. However, okay, so if you want to talk about stats, they're not going up and shooting up their entire fucking school. They're very angry. Why are white boys shooting up their entire fucking school? Why are white men killing their entire fucking family? So we can talk about stats.
Yes, we can talk about
Don't just stick on stats about young black men.
Sure. So it's interesting because when it comes to mass shooting, and I believe if we only look at school shootings, whites are still per capita. They're not. They might be just about represented. It's nothing that they really do at a higher rate. And if you look at some of the more recent ones, yes, some of them were white, but a lot of them are Asian and Hispanic as well. There's at least one black Nazi that literally described himself as a Nazi that did some kind of killing recently. But let me ask you this, because this is another.
What is it? LL and Pink Pill. Nobody is saying that we're not taking accountability. I'm responding to the stats that Bernie is talking about. And I'm saying that, one, we need to set the record straight for one.
Yes.
Just because I'm setting the record straight does not mean that I'm saying that there's no accountability. Y'all keep running to that shit, and it's some bullshit.
All right. So there's some other misconceptions. Who do you think is more overrepresented for being serial killers, whites or blacks? And who do you think the deadliest serial killer in the United States was? Was he white or black?
I mean, the deadliest person. I don't know who the deadliest person is.
Yeah,
I do believe that more serial killers are white than black.
No, black people are actually overrepresented as serial killers. In other words, spree or thrill killers. In other words, not people who do gang stuff, but people who like to rape and torture and kill and do it for their own sick perversions. I forget his name, but the serial killer with the most bodies in the United States is a black man. I mean, there's a lot. When it comes to familial side, it could be. And when it comes to familial side, because a lot of people like to say that. A lot of people like to bring up, well, let's talk about the funny stuff you guys like to do, like touching kids or something like that. What's in white? Blacks are overrepresented. No, we're underrepresented.
No, white men are.
No. I look at the stats. No, we're not actually. There's one sexual offense that whites are overrepresented, and that is child pornography. When it comes to child rape or child molestation, blacks commit it at a much higher rate, about double the rate of white men. So once again, like a lot of these stereotypes that you just said that what did you say, child molestation or something like that? No, it's not. Child pornography, yes.
Yeah, because I knew about the child pornography. Listen, before To Catch a Predator, and thank God for that, man. Before that, you never saw white men being addressed, and you never saw white men being arrested in those numbers. You always see black men being perpetuated as criminals in every aspect. So it's just like the stats alone don't. The stats, they mean something, but they don't mean everything. And the fact of the matter is, all these white men who are engaged in child pornography, it doesn't just stay there, Pepe, and you know it.
Well, I would say this. There's one. First of all, somebody who's lived in majority, mostly majority. I was born in D.C. I lived in Maryland. I guess those are the only two, like, not majority non-white states I've been in, places. But as an adult, though, it's Alaska, Montana, here, in Arizona. I don't know how to put this.
But let me just say something.
When white people commit crimes, okay, we throw, like, they are made an example out of. In fact, you would way rather get caught doing a crime in Maryland than, let's say, in Montana. Your sentence will likely be many years less. Now, there was one example I can think of that was gang-related. It involved nothing but white people. And this happened maybe a decade ago in, I believe it was Waco, Texas. You had two outlaw one percenter clubs. In other words, they're a gang. The Bandidos and the Cossacks. They were at a Twin Peaks with a big outdoor patio. And Twin Peaks is kind of like, I guess, a knockoff of Hooters. But anyways, one gang rolls up, one motorcycle club rolls up. The other club sees them pull up. What do? They start beating the shit out of each other, start clubbing each other, start stabbing each other, and they start shooting each other. Now, what ended up happening is there was about a couple hundred people involved in that I guess you could say gang violence. Well, Texas, they gave none of them bail. They said, yeah, fuck them, throw them all in jail. You want to do that where people are out with their families, you pieces of shit? Fine, fuck you. You want to do your gang shit out in the middle of public? All right, fine, fuck you. No bail for all of these motherfuckers.
Right.
And white people. Hold on a second. And white people, you did not hear one white person bitch. No, free Roscoe! Free Roscoe! Yeah, get a boy out of jail. No, there's none of that shit. Now,
yeah, well,
no, hold on a second.
Okay, go ahead.
Now, I think most of them got off because they for whatever reason, they did not snitch. And so they didn't have enough information. But bikers did. Now, when it happens with black people, it's like, I feel like what we get is this, oh, all these black men in prison, it's so sad. Oh, free Pookie, you know, and it's like, oh, the school to prison pipeline. And it's like, well, how do you expect us to, actually, how do black people in some of these neighborhoods even fucking live in a functioning place when they have to deal with these fucking assholes? White people don't have to live with them because we lock them up.
Yeah, so
what are we supposed to do with the violent blacks?
Let me know what I can respond.
Can I speak because I haven't spoken?
Wait. Me and Pepe, let me just respond to Pepe real quick.
Well, I know, but I just want
Yeah, this is a whole
spoken and I'm listening. So I just want to make two comments. You're making an assumption that every black person has to deal with a Pookie and Ray Ray. That's your first mistake. The second thing is, I went and I looked up what you were talking about, the child molestation and how white people, of course, they deal with child pornography. I looked up the stats for just child abuse alone between whites and blacks. It said that white people are guilty and have more cases of child abuse than blacks. Blacks are second to white people. Now, then I went and said, well, what is considered the abuse? They included sexual molestation, neglect, all of those things. So when you put something very small in and try to say, oh, it's child molestation, that's a big small.
Okay, ask them per capita. Ask your ChatGPT or whatever it is per capita which group commits the abuse more. It's gonna obviously say black people.
It's blacks.
No.
And it's also underreported in black community.
I just
it's underreported everywhere.
No, it's underreported.
We're looking at the Epstein files right now. You talk about underreported.
That's an antidote. Like, what the fuck
It's not anecdotal. It's
Yeah, it is anecdotal. It's literally one
for a
fucking
long
dude.
time. It's not anecdotal.
And black people have been tipping for a long fucking time. I mean,
And
the fuck are you
yeah,
talking
we've
about?
been fucking subjected to black fucking codes. There were never any white fucking codes.
So
You
what?
you want to talk about the relationship between black people and criminality. And let me just address this really
Violent
because
criminality.
what I heard when I first came in the room. So when I first came in the room, y'all, generally speaking, we're talking about, and some of the people, but a lot of the people aren't even here. But what y'all were talking about on the stage was, black crime. It's just their culture. It's a cultural issue. This is just get the entire fuck out of here. That the origin of black crime is a cultural issue. If y'all left us the fuck alone, there would still be some crime.
We left you guys the fuck alone in Haiti. How did that work out?
No,
First off,
Pepe,
we didn't say no one said the origin of crime.
we're
No
talking
one said the
about
origin of crime was
America.
black. No, the origin of black crime. Listen. No one saying the origin of crime is I don't know what you just said, but it didn't make
No, they
sense.
said it was cultural based. It was based on black culture. That's exactly what's being
Yes.
said.
No, agree. Yes, I said that. Yes, the current
And
state
it's
of
not based on black
it
culture.
definitely is. It is.
No, it is
And
not.
you is man. Yes, we got you. You know what it is. Let me explain. I know, right? What the fuck? So the reasoning being because we
You
have
could be off.
facilitated.
Go ahead.
You're not gonna let us black people talk.
It's not.
Black people.
Yeah, but I know I did, Doctor, and I just want to address that. Yes, and the reason why it is because we help facilitate it. We support it a lot. It's in our music, it's in our politics, it's in our entertainment, it's in everything. So many politicians and even entertainers who are not rappers will tell you they came from a gang background, or they have family members, or they had to sell drugs or some shit like that. They're talking about how they help facilitate it right now. In just general social media, if you go to TikTok, you see so much of our youth committing crimes and doing criminal shit. And that is them, that is coming from them not having good homes where the parents and the people that go in their lives help them actually get them guidance and start and pull them away from their lifestyle. So we just on a vicious cycle of repeating shit that keeps the criminality up in our communities. That is culture.
First of all, the culture of the
Wait, hold on, because I let you go before me, so let me just address this. This is what I mean about when you don't understand your history, you literally don't know who the fuck you are. And this is a problem. And you don't know, and white people, when they deny American history, not only do they not know who they are, they actually think far highly of themselves than they should. So, following slavery, there was a thing called the Black Codes that were instituted. Do you know what the Black Codes are, Free?
I'm familiar with them. Well, I'm gonna let you finish because this is what we're talking about.
This is gonna be a monologue. What did the Black Codes do? Because I really need you to understand. What is
Just
the
go for it
Black
because I don't have time. No, just make your point because I want to respond and because I have to take a step away for a second. So go ahead.
All right. So does any black man on the stage know what the Black Codes are? Lover, you always have something
Get
to
on
say.
with the damn story.
Don't look it up. What are the Black Codes?
I said get on with the damn story.
Exactly. Because you don't fucking know.
Nobody gives
This
a fuck.
is the problem. No. If you know, say it.
They have less fucking rights, basically.
No, it's not about having less rights. Like this is oh my god. Like this anyway.
Just make your
So
point.
I'm just gonna link in the chat. Y'all motherfuckers, you take the time to read some shit for a change. Because without the Black Codes,
They want cheap labor, all of that
and
shit.
literally, Pepe, there were no white codes. Just
No
so
shit.
you know. Yeah, exactly.
64 and 65. We're talking about today, honey.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Okay.
And that's why the Black Code. What's the purpose of the Black Code?
To have a bunch of cheap fucking blacks.
Wait, 1 second. I'm talking to Pepe. Not just a plantation. What was it for? If you were found
It was
guilty
to
of
oppress
a
black people.
Black Code, what did you have to
It
do?
was to oppress black people.
No, we're not. No. I'm not gonna let y'all get off with
I
it.
think it was basically to keep it. It was basically just once they used black people as farm equipment, and once they were freed, it was basically a way to force them through laws or codes to make it so that they kind of didn't have much of a way, anything else to do, but they'd be exploited for either very cheap or forced labor.
Enforced labor how?
Yeah, but Sean, hey, what the fuck does this have to do with 2025? Black presidents. We've had 2 black presidents, and you want to point back to 150 years ago. No, just hurry the fuck up. Nobody gives a shit what you have to say.
I'm gonna respond. I'm gonna read a second. Go ahead, guys.
You did not know.
We've had 2 black presidents.
Right. So,
I'm making your point, please, guys. What's your fucking question there, please?
I'm trying. Like, I gave Lover the opportunity. He was silent then.
I didn't know what the fuck it is, but I don't give a fuck. Hurry up.
I know you don't give a fuck. I know you don't.
Stop! You're making it last longer. Stop.
History today. So the black
I usually like it the last.
Shut up and let it finish.
to fill convict labor. Convict labor. This is the precursor to our for-profit prison systems. So when you say, oh, black people indiscriminately, disproportionately commit these types of crimes, we've got the stats. Fuck you and your fucking stats. Because we have stats as well.
But how does our prison system work?
We were
How
always...
does our prison system? Okay, that's amazing.
One second.
How does our prison system and judicial system work any differently from the UK's or anywhere else in the Anglosphere?
Because in the 13th Amendment says, except for the punishment of crime. Except for the punishment of crime.
Okay, but what do all Anglosphere countries do the same thing?
The American Constitution. The UK's Constitution doesn't have shit like that. That's why America's the fucked up.
Well, they work for free in Australia, Canada, and the UK as well.
They don't have any type of slavery or anything like that. I'm saying that the 13th Amendment is in the American Constitution. So you're gonna sit around and make excuses for people that didn't want to give up slavery, that then said except for the punishment of crime, slavery will be abolished. Then you have people making up fucking crimes, like walking down the street, looking a white man in the fucking eye. You could get arrested for that. Not stepping off of the curb.
What does that have to do with today's judicial system?
Exactly, because it's bullshit. No, guys, this is no, it is bullshit. Listen, guys, you didn't address no, you didn't address shit I said. Everything, guys, all right.
This is
All right, so just hold on, because then you're a fucking child. So the bottom line is, I'm bringing it back up, guys. I said about today, the current culture. Everything you fucking said had nothing to do with the culture today. Let's just pretend everything you said was true. What the fuck has to do with black people actually going out committing things that they know are crimes? Promoting this shit. Talking about jugging people, which is basically saying I'm waiting outside of the bank for a person to cash their check so I can rob them. Talking about running off on a plug and all this other shit that we talk about. Just tons of fucked up shit. Selling EBT, your food stamps, all types of shit we say in our media and our entertainment. And we have fucking platforms from YouTube to Instagram and all these other things where we advocate for criminality. That has nothing to do with the fucking black code laws. It's about a culture that thinks it's okay to do deviant shit. And you won't fucking address it because you want to make excuses for it. I'm not making excuses for what white people did, but that shit is old as done. They're not still doing it now. You keep trying to bring this shit up like it's relevant. They're not fucking with us like that. No, they're not. It's a lie. That's bullshit. Okay. No, bullshit. No, stop. I'm almost finished. Stop. I hear you. Stop. I'm almost finished. If white people are fucking with me, how does that in turn make me commit crime against my own? Make that make sense? I'm ready. You want to talk, so answer that. Exactly, because it's fucking stupid.
Hold on. No one said that makes it okay for another.
Well, that's my point, though. No, but that's my point. Address that. Why are we doing shit towards each other and fucking up our communities based on something they did?
Well, Free, that's not
Honestly,
culture. Decent.
it is. We advocate it all the time. No, stop. Truth. For the last 20 years, you wasn't a real nigga unless you went to jail. You couldn't get out. You couldn't be a dude without a criminal record. You're lame. That's been part of our culture for the longest. Man, you ain't never been to jail. What kind of shit is that? So I like it's not part of our culture.
It's a part of American culture.
No, the white community, Asian community don't brag about going to fucking having a criminal fucking record.
It's true. They don't. It's true.
mom suffered from
We do.
the same way we do. That's for sure. You're right about
We don't
that.
brag about going around a father having a stable family. We do that stupid shit. That's all God. But they're not complaining about alcohol. That's the difference.
Yes, they are. That's why the men.
No, they're not. They're not playing victims for being victims of fucking cokeheads. No, that cokehead.
Doctor, first of all, you said they're not facing the same consequences. Now, I think what you don't realize is that generally, when white people commit crimes, like they when they rob somebody, they seriously assault somebody, kill somebody. If you get this part, white people do not like being victimized. White people are not gonna side with the white criminal over the white victim.
That was a crime, you know?
Oh my God,
They chill it out.
let me finish. Okay, so when you steal check and stealing this nice old pensioner's $5,000 from his checking account, these white cops that show up, they're going to feel a very funny way about you. They're going to say, wow, you robbed an old man. You slimy piece of fucking shit. How dare you? The judge is going to think the same thing. The white jurors are going to think the same thing. And they'll say, and they're going to say, I really don't want those kinds of things happening to old people. Yeah, go ahead and send them to prison. That is how it works. White people are not soft on people who mainly victimize ourselves. That's not a thing. We don't take it easier on white people. Like, this is so fucking stupid.
But you take it harsher on black people.
No, we don't.
Listen, but even if they did, why the fuck?
It's amazing how many black men are running around with 37 criminal felony arrests and never get any fucking prison time. Then they have to go out and murder 5 people, then they finally get sent to prison.
That was black again. Mandatory minimum. I was speaking. It's not your turn. I was speaking. I was cut off at 3. I was cut off.
Yeah, my bad, Allie, you're right, I guess.
Yeah, it's Alan's turn to talk. Let the good white man, clean white man.
No, he's on Alan. It was her
Yeah, go
turn.
ahead.
Be quiet, lover. Shut up.
Whose turn is it?
It's your turn.
I did say it was Alan. I did say it was Alan. Alan, do you want to let her laugh for like 30 seconds or you want to just go? Okay, please, guys, keep this us.
I was speaking of goddess.
Oh, I thought it was Goddess. That was you? Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. I'm sorry, Truth. Go ahead. That seemed better because I think she probably faster. Go ahead.
When we talk about the disproportionate sentencing laws that were against black people, and he said white people, they don't play the victim when something happens. They played the victim when there was this epidemic of drug crisis, when it began to affect their households, their children. Oh, we have to put a stop on these drugs hitting the street. But when it affected black people, it was a crime. But when it affected the white people, we see now we need to get assistance. This is a epidemic. Come on, y'all acting like y'all don't see the difference. We can see all of this stuff in society. And you talking about slavery doesn't exist. I'm trying to find the term because I can't remember what it was, but I think it's called Pinocchio or Pinocchio. It's a term that where they show that enslavement still exists some places in the South. And what they're doing is through debt. So if you owe a debt, because like she said, in poorer towns, you have to get stuff on credit. You owe a debt. You are now sentenced to a labor to the creditor. So that still exists, and it's called slavery. It's not called, oh, you owe a debt. That's what it's called still to this day. I yield.
Okay, so thank you. I'm going to make 2 points. The first of all, you were making the issue about culture. I'm going to thank you, my good friend Sig, for bringing this video to my attention from Tashiti69 called Come Up. Now, maybe some of you are aware of it, but the lyrics are along the lines of kill an N-word, silly N-word, 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 N-word.
Oh,
Now,
Takashi 69.
Okay, whatever. Okay, thank you, lover.
You did just-
Show me, I would like to know the equivalent of kill a pecker wood, dumb cracker, kill a cracker, silly cracker, kill...
Alan, I want to interrupt you though.
I would like to know where culturally
Yeah, when I
the
hear
equivalent in
it's like
white
Tekashi
culture.
6ix9ine is not black.
Okay,
That's
but
a terrible reference.
Yeah, but
okay, hold on, Alan.
He's not black, bro. You can't use that reference.
Alan, Tekashi 6ix9ine is like half Mexican, half Puerto Rican. He looks like a straight up fucking. He looks like any other Mexican that would cross the border. He's not black at all.
yeah, and who's in the video with him? Watch the video, folks. Sorry, you don't get off just because he's Mexican. All right, and that's just one, and that's just,
Whites and video of black people making
and that's just one
So
video.
what about the
Yeah,
rock and roll and stuff like that? How y'all talk about each other and killing and taking drugs and stuff like
Are
that?
we talking about killing black people?
And they call it what it is. Yeah, they call it what it is, and they don't act like it's not what it is. They don't make excuses for it when they talk about killing or raping or some shit like that. It is what the fuck it is. That's the difference. So it makes it sound like it makes it more authentic. No. It makes it more authentic, meaning that we don't have to lie for them because they're not gonna lie for themselves. But we don't cover our fuck shit, and that's the problem. Do you understand that?
yeah. So well, that's my first point. The second point is Dr. God is.
Well, you know your first point didn't land, right? You're aware of that, right?
No, I've been
Yes, Puerto Ricans are considered
how many other hundreds of thousands of videos with black men and women using that same word and portraying that same criminal lifestyle are there? Oh, excuse me, you used, I didn't use the right example.
So, hold on,
not a lot that aren't portraying the kind of characters.
Point,
let me answer. Hold on,
God is,
don't move
no,
on,
God is, I'm done talking to you. I'm calling you a black ass out. God is, I'm calling you ass out. Because you
jumped from the first point. I couldn't respond to your first point.
It was rhetorical. He wasn't looking for a response.
I know you have a memory, and you can respond to them.
Yeah, write it down.
Done. Okay? Second point, you're shilling all the points of CRT. CRT is inferiority complex in blackface for black people so they can get more money. How much more money do white people have to give you for you to feel equal to white people?
That's not fair. That's not fair.
Yeah. Sorry.
Somebody give them 40 acres of yield so they can shut the fuck up.
Jesus Christ.
Chill out, slow it down, let Alan does this thing.
Thank you. I even waited for Goddess and Truth to finish before I started to finish. Thank you very much. So the whole point of CRT, and look up everyday CRT, you are looking for racism in everything. You assume racism exists, and then you go about proving it. Well, look, CRT, it's a great system. It's a great theory. It's not the only theory there is. And though it seeks to explain the racial disparities, not only race, but there are race crits, there are queer crits, there are gender crits, there are, there's all different umbrellas for critical theory to bring people in, which it's just another form of Marxism, but we won't even discuss that. They're all there, and they're all looking to get everyone to focus on, in critical race theory, to focus on race 24 hours a day. And they do it in a number of insidious ways, to the point where if you look at teaching for social justice, you have third grade teachers saying, well, Johnny, who's white, got loan at 5% for 1 year, and Jerome, who's black, got loans for 7%. Do you think it's how much did they pay in interest? This is an actual math lesson. How much did they pay in interest? And do you think it's fair that Jerome had to pay more for his loan just because he was black? And then there's a discussion about how racism affects black people and their interest rates in a math lesson for 3-year-old children. I'm sorry, Dr. Goddess, but I also have some experience, and I remember the 60s and I remember the 70s. They taught hope, they taught love, and they taught that the world was going to be a better place. And proponents of CRT teach hate, they teach pessimism.
Only the black ass motherfuckers interrupt this.
And they teach,
He's almost out. Let him finish. Go ahead.
and you can hear it in my voice. Thank you very much. And they teach inferiority. I am tired of listening to dumbass black people who don't know what the fuck is going on. And yeah, this is a white man. I just corrected your ass. Sit the fuck down, shut the fuck up, and let the adults actually
Alan, you need to calm your mayonnaise ass down, Alan. All right? You know what? Calm the fuck down. All right. Because you're being loose racist and everything. White people. You fucking he wants to trigger us against anybody. Y'all letting him.
Damn it. Yeah, I ain't worried about it.
Alright, KP, it's on you.
How was it KP said I never got a chance to respond?
What the fuck? Hey, Free, what's going on? I didn't respond to him. Alright, to be fair, okay. Look, guys, we let you cut him off to do it.
You don't want to hear the fucking response.
No, oh, jeez. Go ahead, guys, then KP, then fucking, no, I'm sorry, 400, then KP.
Yeah, so for the record, dumbass Allen, you don't have to have a specific white equivalent to a rap album made by a Dominican boy to say, where's the white person that said nigger? First of all, if I wanted to point to somebody like that, I could easily point to somebody like Eminem. I could easily point to any of these dumbass white rappers that are out here with these other dumbass black rappers that are out here. So that's like, first of all, white people are producing this, so much of this music, the majority of the fucking music. They're taking advantage of unemployed, uneducated young black men who write these lyrics, and they're producing them. So if you have an issue with rap music, go to the white fucking producers. Go to Liar Cohen and ask him what the fuck is he doing. He literally was on the Breakfast Club and just said, I mean, hey, you know, we gotta make money too. That's what he fucking said. So no, the white people are not holding white people responsible for the music they are putting out. Now let's look at the romanticization. What was the number one show between 1999 and 2007, Alan? Real quick, before you need to look it up. What was the number one television show in America? Not Black America, all of America. What was it? Your fucking side. So the television show was, excuse me.
Yeah, I've got an interview tomorrow with another local newspaper.
I'm not seeing it.
Let me help you on that.
The next interview, I'm going to bring up how Darren LaHood won't sign the discharge petition to bring about the Epstein Transparency Act, and he's covering up for pedophiles and abusers.
You're gonna have to bring up some quote of you taking advice from a rabbi on Clubhouse.
are you doing?
You know, part of me thought we were here with the I'm fucking done dealing with Sam. I'm done dealing with crazy people.
You're done dealing with crazy people?
Yeah.
I don't.
Like, I don't fucking tolerate this shit, man. I'm dealing with this shit in my real life.
You have a lot to do in your life?
Yeah, I've got fucking this is half the problem. You know, I've a lot of shit going on. I'm currently working on the biggest fucking project that we're, finishing up. That's this is obviously just a fucking distraction from that. But I'm also, I've got other things I want to build in the future. Even once this project's over, which will be soon. So the demands of my time will be increasing. The last thing I fucking need is, fucking Nora's running around there.
Yeah, I know. But man, if you make it, help us. Don't be like this,
Don't be like what, Nora?
No, don't forget us.
Don't forget it.
You wanna if you make it. Help please. Ask us if we can.
I'm gonna be real fucking funny.
I hope so, brother. If you make it, we all make it. This is what I say to all my friends. One of us make it, everyone make it,
I'm gonna be real fucking quiet about what I'm doing. It's a need to know basis and no one needs to fucking know.
Yeah, no one needs to know anything. Keep it secret is better for you.
There's no benefit of it.
Yeah, no one needs to know anything about you. The best thing you do. You tell people about what you do, and you're also right.
It just use against you. That's amazing. So, what are we going to do? That's the question. What are we going to do, Mr. Kitover? Congress.
I don't know. I'm reading this article, and this fucking guy wrote up a lot. I thought it was just going to be audio. But that's pretty amazing.
Did you not get an audio?
He didn't even use my name in the tag. He wasn't very nice. I mean, he was nice, but like the fact that he wouldn't let me live stream it, I was like, dude, I drove all the way down here, to create some content, and we're just doing audio in your write-up. I'm like, but he's like, nobody's ever asked me if they can live stream. Let me go ask. He's like, no, they don't want you to do it because of liability reasons. And I was like,
What liability?
I have no idea what he was referring to, but anyways, I'm gonna do a fundraiser here on this app. Scott Kent Jones is gonna host it. was that?
Do you think he would have refused the interview if he did it?
Probably. That's why I backed off. I was like, okay, yeah, that's fine. But I recorded the audio. I published it to Clubhouse to X. Nobody listened to it though. Okay, this live stream is happening. Let me see. I don't even know how I mean, this Clubhouse fundraiser is happening. Scott has opened the room.
Okay, that's a lot of like.
You want to go to the show, or are you going to keep your room open?
Ron likes to make everybody look so I'm gonna go there.
Okay, thanks. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Okay.
Scott, are you there? Yeah, you can't. It does. Yeah, I'll invite people. Did you see the article I just sent you? It's really good press, actually. Apparently that guy is incapable of doing an interview.
You're a carpetbagger?
That's what I call myself, unfortunately.